Both of you have good, strong, long-time connections to the state of Alabama. Secretary Lehman to my hometown of Mobile, and Admiral, you're a son of the state of Alabama. We appreciate both of you. Thank you for your service. 2 weeks ago, I was in China at a conference, and one of the days in the conference we spent talking about the military situation there. We had a representative from the United States side, a representative from the Chinese side, and the Chinese representative was remarkably candid and very worrisome. I'd like to read a portion, just a few sentences of what he had to say, and ask you to react to it. To some extent, I think, Admiral, you've already addressed it, but I'd like you to be a little more specific about what we would do in response to this. But listen to what he said. Now, this is the Chinese speaking. As is well known, security frictions between China and the U.S. for a long time have occurred mainly within the first island chain. Chinese efforts to secure reunification across the Taiwanese Strait and to safeguard its territory, sovereignty, and maritime rights and interests in the East China Sea and the South China Sea face incessant U.S. interference and intervention. And here's the key sentence. The development of a new balance of power will be marked by China's enhanced capacity to safeguard its territory and sovereignty and maritime rights and interests, and a weakened U.S. capability to intervene. That's the Chinese perspective on us. So if we're going to reverse that, specifically, what do we need to do?
Well, those are very strong words. Because they're said does not make them truth. There are legitimate disagreements as to who those atolls and reefs really belong to, if anyone, because they are atolls and reefs, and international law and maritime practice has a definition about those. The idea that the Chinese are claiming an additional 645,000 square miles of ocean resources, fisheries, mineral rights on the seabed, and potentially waters to restrict maritime commerce and the passage of naval ships out of the Straits of Malacca up to Japan, up to our Southeast Asian friends, is absolute insanity. Saying it does not make it true, any more than Putin claiming that Ukraine is part of Russia makes it true. The reality is the longer we allow this to happen, the more difficult is going to become to reverse it or stop it. The fact that they're putting very capable weapon systems on these sandbars, and we're watching it happen, in my view, is a mistake. Having said that, I would be the first to say, if, in fact, we're going to contest it, if we're going to challenge it with our neighbors in Southeast Asia and in East Asia, we need to do it with more capable forces than the United States has deployed there today.
Mr. Secretary?
Yes, I would echo that. I have made 2 official visits, not official as far as I was concerned, but as far as the Chinese were concerned, since I left the government. Both times at the invitation of very senior people in the Defense Ministry, Liu Qing, who is the head of the Navy, and so forth. I find that statement totally consistent with the stated intentions in both of those visits. They were, my first visit, which was around 1992, they were more in sorrow than in anger. Why are you disarming? Why are you're abandoning, you're creating a vacuum here in the Western Pacific, and you are going to create all sorts of instability because your Navy is not here anymore. We used to, every time we looked out the window in a Hong Kong hotel, we saw a carrier and its escorts there, and this provided a stability that relieved us of the worry that control of the strategic straits, which are obsessive with the Chinese, of the Straits of Sunda and Malacca, they are not going to let that happen, and they told us that. And they said, well, we're going to build aircraft carriers, because we don't have base rights in those areas, but we are going to not allow the vacuum that you are creating to persist. And so I find the Chinese, other than some of their more bellicose junior military officers, junior, 1 2 stars, which seem to have a franchise of making outrageous statements. But I find the official statements of their military very consistent and not necessarily pointed hostilely at the U.S. I don't believe that they intend to invade the U.S. or seize the Hawaiian Islands, but I do believe they view us now. But, the Taiwan problem is a separate set of issues which we could spend all day talking about. But the fact is that they really are dependent on virtually all of their oil to be imported, and imported through straits that are potentially not secure. And so they are building, they've told us, they're building a 600-ship Navy. And if you try to interfere, you would do so at your peril. And that at least we can understand what their intentions are, which they do not have the equivalent confidence. They don't know what our strategy is. And I think one reason is because we have no strategy.
My time is up. I really appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gentleman from Rhode Island, Mr. Langevin, is recognized for 5 minutes.